Okay, so let's talk about power, defiance, and, well, what you might call cosmic irony. We're diving into the story of former Philippine President Rodrigo Duterte. This is a man who built his entire image on being the tough guy, the strong man with an iron fist. And now, he's facing the very institution he spent years, and I mean years, mocking. And how this whole standoff ends? Well, it's something few people saw coming.
You know, it really all boiled down to this one simple question, asked just a few months before everything changed. Representative Gravel Listro put it to Duterte, point blank, will you voluntarily submit to the ICC? And his response back then? Oh, it was classic Duterte. A scoff, a dismissal, a whole lecture on national sovereignty. The message was loud and clear. No way, not gonna happen. He was never going to submit.
And then, March 14th, 2025 rolls around. And suddenly, the whole world gets a very different answer. Because there he was, in The Hague, appearing before an ICC judge. He didn't have to say a word. Just his presence in that courtroom was the ultimate reply.
And that brings us to the first big theme of this story, which is just the absolute irony of it all. I mean, the man who famously told the International Criminal Court to go to hell is now quite literally standing right on its doorstep.
As one of our sources puts it, his appearance was a poetic punchline, and you can totally see why, right? For years, Duterte taunted the ICC. He practically dared them to do something. Well, in the end, they did. And the man who insisted he would never, ever bend to international law was forced to sit there and go through the process.
So, how on earth did we get to this point? To really get the irony, we've got to rewind a bit and look at the persona that Duterte so carefully built for himself over the years. This was the defiant strongman. And his message was always consistent. He delivered the same lines with that trademark bravado every chance he got. He'd laugh at the court's authority, call it foreign meddling, and swear up and down that he was untouchable. He was the strongman, and he was above it all. But then, the whole narrative just took this sudden, dramatic turn. That shield of bluster and political power, yeah, it turned out to be way more fragile than anyone, maybe even he, ever imagined.
Just look at how fast it all happened. On March 9th, he's in Hong Kong, breathing fire, railing against all his enemies. Just 2 days later, he's arrested by Interpol. And by the 14th, that's a mere 5 days after that big defiant speech, he's standing in a courtroom in The Hague. That whole facade just crumbled in less than a week.
It was literally an overnight transformation. One moment, he's this powerful speaker breathing fire. The next, as he's being arrested, his allies are scrambling to get an ambulance to the airport, suddenly trying to paint this picture of a frail old man who's in desperate need of medical care.
And this gets to the core of what we're looking at here. This stark contrast between the man before the arrest warrant and the man after. It's a tale of two very, very different Dutertes.
And the contrast is just stunning. The strongman from the Hong Kong stage? Gone. In his place, in the courtroom, is this slumped-over defendant. His once booming voice is now apparently barely a whisper. His hands are reportedly shaking. It's like a completely different character walked into the room. A performance, you might say.
And to back up this new image, his allies immediately started rattling off this long list of ailments. You've got myasthenia gravis, Berger's disease, Barrett's esophagus, the whole shebang. Now, some of these conditions have been known for years, but suddenly they're front and center. The narrative was clear. He's no longer a leader. He's a fragile patient who is too sick to stand trial. But here's the thing about a court of law. Narratives are tested against facts. And this is where the story takes its final, decisive turn. The theatrics were about to meet a pretty serious reality check.
Because when he got to The Hague, one of the very first things that had to happen before any of the legal stuff could really start was a medical exam. And not by his doctors, by the court's own doctors. And there it is. The official finding from the ICC's medical team, quote, mentally aware and fit for legal proceedings. Boom. Just like that, the whole carefully built story of a man too unwell for justice, it gets completely dismantled. The court says he's fit to stand trial.
So in the end, what the sources describe isn't some dramatic, defiant fall of a strongman. It's more like the quiet unraveling of a performance. That tough guy persona, his greatest political weapon, seems to be failing him under the cold, impartial scrutiny of international justice.
And it leaves all of us with this fundamental question, doesn't it? When the stage is gone, when the microphone is off, and a leader's entire persona is finally tested by the unblinking eye of justice, what's actually left? That's really the question at the heart of this entire saga in The Hague.